Why, hello, advanced band saxophone players. How are you guys? I hope you guys are surviving, not playing too many video games or doing whatever you guys do. I've decided, because I haven't seen you in a while, that we would make some videos for you. And I'm going to start with a lesson on a lot of different things that hopefully you guys will be able to deal with. And I want you to remember, just do the best you can with this stuff. Don't worry about playing it perfectly. Don't worry about if you don't have some of the stuff that we're going to go over. Just do the best that you can. That's all you can do. Okay. And that's all I really expect. So just do the best you can and enjoy this stuff. And what I want you to try and do is play as much as you can. I know you have a lot of stress on your lives right now. I know there's a lot of stuff going on. Hopefully this can be a nice kind of break from that. So what I want you to do is try and just do as much of this as you can, and we'll have a good time with it and enjoy ourselves. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start it with some long tones. And a long tone is just that. It's a note that's played that's really long. All right. And what we're going to do is we're going to play this long tone, and we're going to make sure that it's three things. The long tone is going to be long, right? It's going to be loud, and it's going to be even. Even means that I don't want the note to go up and down when you're playing. I don't want, I want a nice even note. And what we're going to do is we're going to play three long tones on three different notes. So the first note that we're going to do a long tone on is the note G. And we're going to play that long tone three times. Then we're going to play it on the note B three times. And then we're going to play it on the note D three times. So here's the note G, long tone. Ready? I'm just going to play it. Here it is. Ready? Go. Good. Here's the second one. Another G. This is a long tone on the note G. Ready? Take a deep breath and blow. Ready? All right. Now here's the last one on the note G. Ready? Here we go. Last one, note G. All right, super easy, right? Now, let's do the same thing on the note B. Here's the note B, keeping our hands over the keys, not keeping our hands out like this, right? Keep them close. Here's the note B, three long tones on the note B. Here's the first one. Ready? Go. Okay, good. Here's the second one. Go as long as you can. Ready? Go. All right, last one on the note B. Here's B one more time. Ready? Go. All right, very nice job so far, ladies and gentlemen. Not that I can hear you. All right, so here's the note D. D is going to be the D with the octave key. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Right? Nice, long, even, and loud. We're going to do three of them. Here's the first one. Ready? Go. All right, here's another D. Notice how long, even, and kind of loud they are. Ready? Good. Notice my face is flat and even and relaxed, not puffing my cheeks, and I'm blowing that note out nice and loud and long and even. Here's the last one. Ready? Here we go. Ready? Go. Nice job, everyone. Okay, so that was our long tones, and we did 3 of them on 3 notes. Now what we're going to do is we're going to work on our scales. And the first scale that we're going to do is our concert B-flat scale. Concert B-flat scale, as you all know, is our saxophone G major scale. For tenor saxophone, it's a C major scale. All right? So, concert B-flat major scale, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and G, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a metronome on. You're going to hear it over here. And what we're going to do is we're going to play that scale really slow. And we're going to play each note, right? And we're going to tongue them. So if you're doing it right, put the metronome on. So that's a really slow tempo. What that means is the metronome over there is going to click for every beat. So 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So what we're going to play is G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. Excuse me. That's how that's going to work, okay? So we're going to play it that slow. Here we go. Tongue every note, blow all the way through it. And then we're going to get to the top. We're going to go all the way back down, all right? So we're going to play all the way up to G, and then after the G, we're going to go back down. Ready? Here we go. Try and play it with me. 1, 2, ready, go. All right, so that's our G major scale. G major scale, as you know, has an F sharp in it. And we're going to play another scale. Now we're going to play the C scale. And C kind of goes really high. And this C scale is going to be the same thing. We're going to play, I'm going to start the metronome off for a second. And we're going to play C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, right? C, D, E, F natural, first finger F, not F sharp, not second finger. F, G, A, B, C, right? And if you're doing it right, it'll sound like this. Here we go, with the metronome. And we're going to go up and then down. I know it's kind of crazy, but try and relax your face. Don't bite when you get up to the high notes, right? Try and relax and keep your mouth as open as possible, all right? So here we go. Hold on. All right. 1, 2, C, go. All right. Excellent job, everyone. Now what we're going to do is one more scale. And that scale is the F major scale. Now, F major scale starts on first finger F. So we're going to play F, G, A, B flat. B flat is the side finger B flat. So you're going to play A, 1 and 2, and the bottom side key, right? So this is B flat. So you're going to play F, and then G, A, B flat, okay? Then you're going to go from B flat to C, D with the octave key, E, and then F. So I'll say it again. Low F, G, A, B flat, C, D with the octave key, E with the octave key, F with the octave key, and then we go down, all right? So let's try and play it. Here we go on F. 1, 2, ready, go. All right, good. So the next thing that I want to do is I want you to take your red books out, okay? The Tradition of Excellence red books that you guys have. Try and dig around and see if you can find them. And what we're going to do is we're going to start on page 26. And the number that I want to work on is number 103. And it's called dotted quarters. And if you look at it, what you'll see is that it has, it's in 2/4 time, which means there's 2 beats in a measure. 2 clicks of the metronome is 1 beat, is 1 measure. So 1, 2, 1, 2, not 4. It's 1, 2, 1, 2. So 2 clicks of the metronome in every beat. And if you notice, the first two measures are identical, right? So we have, where is it? D, 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 E. Super easy. And these are eighth notes, right? So we're not going to go D, D, D. We're going to go D, 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 E. Eighth, 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 eighth. D, 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 E. And you'll hear it when the metronome starts clicking. Okay, so D, 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 E. And we're going to play it twice because both measures are the same, right? Here we go. Here's measures 1 and 2 of number 103. Actually, let me slow it down a little bit. Here we go. Ready? So it's going to be D, 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 E. D, 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 E. D, 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 E, right? So the first two measures are going to be D, 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 E. D, 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 E. That's it. Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, first two measures. 1, 2, ready, go. Good. Super easy. Nothing wrong with that. That's all stuff we've done before. But if you look at the next measure, the third measure, those D's are now tied together. And what that means is you're not going to tongue those notes. You're going to tongue the first one, but that's it. So we have 3 G's and three D's and an E. So D, 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 E. And what we're going to do is we're going to tie these 3 D's together. So it's going to sound like this. D, E, D, E. If you notice, I'm still thinking in terms of eighth notes. In my head, I'm still thinking like D, 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 E. I'm tying them together, just like I would tie a quarter note to a half note or whatever. But these are eighth notes. So I have to still consider and still think that these are all eighth notes. D, 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 E, right? So now when I play it, I'm going to play that third measure with the D's tied. Ready, listen. Ready, and go. And if you notice, D, E. So I'm thinking those eighth notes in my head, all right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the first 3 measures for you. So here's the first 3 measures. So with the first 2 measures, everything is tongued, and then the third measure, it's not. So here's the first 3 measures, excuse me. Good. Now, if you notice, what they're really doing is they're just trying to get you to hear that last eighth note being played on the end of what's called the end of 2, which is the second eighth note in the second eighth note in the second beat. Okay. Now, if you look at measure 4, what measure 4 is a quarter note tied to an eighth note, and it's all D. It's literally the same thing as the measure before. A quarter note is the same thing as the first beat in measure 3. And an eighth note is the same thing as the beat 2, the eighth note in beat 2. So the first 3 D's, that measure is exactly the same. It's a quarter note tied to an eighth note, and then there's a second eighth note. The last note in that measure, that E, is the last eighth note. So if I have 4 eighth notes, the first 2 eighth notes is the quarter note. The next eighth note is the quarter note, is the eighth note that's on beat 2. And then the last eighth note, my pinky, is the D, is the E. So D, E. And so in measure 3, it's all written out in eighth notes. So you have D, E. Well, measure 4 is exactly the same thing. The first quarter note is 2 eighth notes. D, E, and that's measure 4. So now I'm going to play measures 1, 2, 3, and 4. Here we go. 1. Try and play it with me. 1, 2, 1, and 2, and ready, and go. Okay, good job with that. Now, if you look at the next 2 measures, now it's written a little differently, but it's exactly the same sound. Measures 5 and 6 are D for 3 beats. It's a quarter note with a dot next to it, which means that extra dot is the next eighth note. So D, E, quarter note, eighth note, eighth note. So what it's saying is it's tying these 3 together. The first quarter note, and then it's tied to the next eighth note, and the last eighth note, my pinky, is that E again, right? So that's what we have. So in measures 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, we have D, E, D, E. But almost every measure is a different way to show you that rhythm, okay? And then the last two measures are just the note D, and it's just tied over into the next measure, right? So we have D for 2 beats on measure 7 and D for 1 beat in measure 8. D for 2, I'm sorry, D for 2, D, rest. And then we're not tonguing any of them. We're only tonguing the first one. We're not tonguing the ones that are tied. Okay? So what we're going to do is I'm going to play the entire song for you now. Here we go. Ready? Try and play along with me. 1, 2, and ready and go. Rest. That's how it works. I did that in one breath. I tongued where I was supposed to tongue. That's all it is, okay? Good job with that, ladies and gentlemen. Keep practicing this. If you can't get it right now, keep working on it a little bit. It's not that hard. Well, once you get used to it, then it's like, oh, this is way easier than I thought it was. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to look at number 104, okay? And 104 is Alouette, and I have to kind of move my stuff over a little bit so I can play it, so I can see all the music. And so, you know what? I'm just going to play the first half of it so you can kind of see what I'm doing. And then I'll work on the second half. So the first half of it, if you look at it really carefully, what you'll see is it's also in 2/4. And that first rhythm in number 104 is the same rhythm that we were just working on, that dotted quarter note. So what we have is it's a quarter note plus an eighth note. So what you can do is, if these are my 4 eighth notes, 1 and 2 and, right? Pinky is the last one. The pinky is when you move your note. You move, in this case, from C, D, right? So in measure 1, we have a dotted quarter note to an eighth note. C, D, that's all it is, right? In the next measure, we have 2 E's. E, E. Those are both quarter notes. And if you notice, those dots on those notes are on top of the note, not next to it. And what that means is that you play those short. So D, E, C, D, E, E. Hear how I sung that being really short? That's how that works. So I'm going to play the first 2 measures of this, and I want you to try and play it with me. Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. Good. Now I kept my feet on the ground. I sat up straight. My cheeks were in. And when I was playing that, I played it soft. I slurred into the D, and I played those E's short. Okay? Make sure you're doing all that stuff. Now, if you look at measure 3, 3 is 4 different eighth notes, so we're not going to be tying anything together and thinking about it, but we're going to be thinking 1 and 2 and, right? So we have measure 3, 1 and 2 and. Now, if I keep my fingers doing that and I say the notes are D, C, D, E, right? So if I say that with my in time, I'm going to say it with my fingers moving. So watch this. D, C, D, E. 1 and 2 and. D, C, D, E. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my fingers on the saxophone, and I'm going to say that while I'm fingering it. So if you can see my hands, it's going to be hard to do. Let's see where we're at. So D, C, D, E, right? It's easier when you're doing it kind of with the next step up. So C, D, C, D, E, right? So now I'm saying it, and I'm keeping my fingers in the right spot. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just blow and play it. And if you notice, the only note you're going to tongue is the first one, because it's the first note that's slurred, that starts the slur, and the rest of them are slurred, so you don't tongue any of the rest of them. So here's measure 3. Listen. 1 and 2 and ready and go. That's all that is. If you watch my hands, super easy. And then the next measure is just a C quarter note, G quarter note. And just like in measure 2, those 2 notes are staccato, so they're really short. So the measure 4 is just going to be super easy. So now I'm going to play all 4 measures. Here we go. Here's measure 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, ready, go. Super easy. Now, measures 5 and 6, measures 5 and 6 are the same as measures 1 and 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to play exactly the same thing, right? So here's measures 5 and 6. Ready, go. Super easy. And then measure 7 is the same thing as measure 3. So measure 7 and measure 3 have the same eighth notes. And then measure 8 is just a half note on C. So really, we should be able to play this whole thing. So let's start from the beginning. We're going to play it with the metronome. I'm going to count off. Keep your feet flat on the ground. Sit up straight, right? Get a nice, good, deep breath. Tongue the notes and play. Here we go. Right from the beginning, we're going to play measures 1 to 8. 1, 2, ready, and go. Super easy, right? All right, nice job, everyone. If you notice at the end of that, there's a little F-I-N-E. That's called a fine, and there's a double bar. There's 2 lines there. This song goes from measure 1 all the way to measure 16, and at measure 16, you will see that it says D-C al fine. D-C, I'm talking about the last measure of the song. If you go all the way to measure 16, it says D-C al fine. The D-C means da capo. And what that means is you go back to the beginning, and then it says D-C al fine. What that means is go to the beginning and then to the fine, right? So what you're going to do in this song is you're going to play measures 1 all the way to measure 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Then you're going to go back to 1 and play measures 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. That's basically what that means, okay? But we're not going to work on that right now because I literally can't video it while we're doing that. So I'm going to play measures 8 to 16 right now. We're going to work on it a little bit. We'll talk about it. So here's measure 8. So basically right where we left off. So measure 8 is, hold on as I move my cord here. All right, measure 8 is eighth notes, right? C, D, E, F, G, G, G. And if you notice, there's no sharps in the key signature. So the F on the end of 2, the last eighth note, is not F sharp. It's not second finger. It's first finger F sharp, okay? So when you're playing it, so it's C, D, E, F, G, G, right? So I said the rhythm that time, and I put my fingers on, and I fingered the notes. Ready? So here we go. I'm going to finger the notes, and I'm going to say the rhythm. Ready? Go. C, D, E, F, G, well, G, 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 right? So that's the measure 8, and I started measure 9, obviously. So here we go. I'm going to say measure 8 and 9, and then I'm going to play it. So we have C, D, E, F, G, 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 right? Eighth, eighth, eighth. That's measure 10, okay? I'm sorry. Excuse me. Measure 8, and then measure 9. That's what we're working on. Bad Mr. Weissman. Bad Mr. Weissman. So measure 8. Yeah, I messed that up, didn't I? I'm in the middle of this video and I just messed it up. I'm sorry. I'm talking about measures 9 and 10, not 8 and 9. It's a senile moment. I'm old. You guys all know that. I apologize. Let's do it again. We're talking about measures 9 and 10. 9 and 10. 9 is C, D, E, F, and then 10 is G, G, G. Okay? Right. So I'll play it now. Here's measures 9 and 10. Sorry, guys. Here we go. Ready? Go. That's all it is, right? C, D, E, F, G, G, G. And if you look at the next 2 measures, measures 11 and 12, what that means, if you look, it's just the eighth notes again. It's the same rhythm, except the notes are going down this time. So this time it's G, F, E, D, C, C, C. Super easy, right? Now I've put it on my horn. G, F, E, D, C, C, C. And if you notice, when I play it, I keep my hands really close. I don't keep my hands far away. Keep them as close as possible. So here's measures 11 and 12, right? I can count now. It just took me 50 years. Here we go. Ready? Go. That's all that is, right? Okay. So Next measure is the same as measure 10, G, 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 in the upper register. That means the octave key. And if you look at measure 11, sorry, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Measure 14 is the same G, G, G without the octave key. So measure 13, G, 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 G. So I did 13 and 14. So I'm going to play with the octave key is the high G, low G is without the octave key. So here's 13 and 14. Ready, go. Super easy, right? Feet on the ground, sitting up straight, relaxed, all that stuff. And then the next two measures, we have high G, F, E, D. Super easy, right? So here's measures 15 and 16. Ready, go. And that brings us back to measure 1. That's how that works. So right now what I'm going to do is, because we're running out of time, I want to get through a little bit of our song, aside from just this exercise. I'm going to play measures 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. Okay? Here's measure 9, all the way to 16. Ready? Go. Good. All right. So hopefully you can play through this whole song and take it piecemeal like that. Do the best you can and work on it as much as you can, and have a good time with it, you know. Let's see. So now what I want to do is I want to work on Lincolnshire Posy. And we've gotten a little far, pretty far in this song. What I want to do is just kind of start at the beginning and see how far we get. I know that we don't start in Lincolnshire Posy. We're going to start on the first movement, so the Hart's Go Grange. We're going to start right where we come in, which is measure 1, 2, 3, 4, measure 5. And we're going to play measure 5 all the way. Let's see where. Measure 5, 5, 6, 7, and 8. That's it, right? Just those 4 measures. Remember, it's a half note. It gets 2 beats. I'm going to change the metronome so it's about as fast as we need to play it, which is 76. All right, so remember, this one has F sharp in it, everybody. So here we go. F sharp. We're starting on measure 5 of Hart's Go Grange and Lincolnshire Posy. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. Now, a couple of things about that. Number 1, make sure you're playing E in the second measure, measure 6. Also, F sharps, as we talked about. Make sure you're articulating it correctly, which means the tonguing. So make sure you're not tonguing the D. I'm sorry. Make sure you're not tonguing the G in measure 6. And make sure you're not tonguing the E in measure 7. All right? Also, the fermata at the end, that little thing with a dot in it, on the last note, I just held that out because that's kind of the way we're going to do it. So make sure you're doing that when you're playing this and you're working on it. But that was pretty good. Now I'm moving along, and we're going to start right back where we come in again, which is measure 13. And so we're going to play 13 all the way, 13, 14, 15, 16, all the way up to that fermata. Okay, so here's 13. One, two, ready, go. And I did the same thing with that fermata. I'm just going to hold it out. So just keep playing this with me, you know, as much as you can, and then we will keep going. And then the next thing in measure 17, now these are F natural. So instead of second finger F, now it's first finger F. First finger F. First finger F. Please play first finger F. All right, here we go. Here it is, measure 17 and 18, which is a fermata. Ready? Here's 17. Ready? Go. Right, and I'll cue you at the end of that. And then we play in measure 17, 18, measure 19, we have the same first finger F sharp. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start in that measure 19 and we're going to keep going. 19 all the way to measure, let's see, we're going to stop at measure 25 because I have to turn a page. So here's measure 17, those F naturals, and then we're going to go 17, 18 all the way through. Just what I said. Here's 17. Remember, in measure 21, it's F sharp, second finger F. So here's 17, first finger F. 1, 2, ready, go. All right, nice. So notice in measure 22, that's a C sharp. I've circled it, which means you should know that by now. And I know you guys do pretty much. So make sure you're playing those C sharps in 22 and 23. And then 24 also has a C sharp. So make sure you're doing that. Also crescendo in measure 25. We should be able to do that. All right, moving on. Here is 26. Yeah, let's play 26, 27, 28, and 29. I have to stop because I have my score. I don't have everyone's part. So here's measure 26. We're going to play 4 measures, 26. 1, 2, ready, go. Moving on, ready, go. Good, and then, if it didn't have a page turn, we can do the last 4 measures, which are, here we go, last 4 measures. So we're starting at measure 30. Measure 30, we're going to go 30 all the way to the end. Here we go. Remember, A flat is A flat. Pinky key, it's like G with the top pinky key. That's A flat, right? So the first note in measure 30 is A, and then the second note is A flat. So if you keep your hands out here, you're going to have a hard time getting there, right? Keep your fingers close. So A flat, and then in measure 31, we play A again. A, the next note is F sharp. That measure I circled, that's hard because we're going from A flat to A natural. So what I'm talking about is, here's measure 30. A for 2 beats, then A flat for 2 beats, and then the next measure, in measure 31, we go back to A, F sharp, A again, right? So it's A for 2 beats, A flat for 2 beats, A, F sharp, A, right? Let me say that again. I'm going to speak 30 and 31. Ready? Go. A for 2 beats, A flat for 2 beats, A, F sharp, A for 2. Now here we go. I'm going to play that whole section now because we pretty much have this. Here we go. Here's 30, 31, 32, and 33. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, good. That's basically how the song goes. And I see we're running out of time. I will hopefully hook you up with some more of these, and I hope you enjoy this as much as I did. And I miss you guys, and I'm sure we will be seeing each other in the near future. So keep your heads up, and I will see you when I see you. Okay, take it easy, you guys. Bye-bye. Be good.